Everybody, welcome back to Newmarket. I'm Yumble, and today I'd like to focus on collector roads to fill out the central downtown area of the Newmarket urban core, I suppose I'd call it. My intent here is to have an urban core that's right where these three roads met. You could say I've put the cart before the horse by building an arterial network first without knowing where the buildings are, but really I'm using the arterial network to inform why would we have these major roads all meeting in one place, and it's probably because this is where downtown was. So that's the assumption that I'm going to go with. We've got suburbia growing in nicely over here, and I've added some trees. I'm probably going to do the same thing with forest brush over here, maybe behind this area of suburbia as well. But I've just got these pockets set up where I can zone in houses as needed as we move along. Demand is about the same as it's always been. High demand for residential. So it's not a bad idea to periodically just hit these with some American eclectic buildings. In the last video, I explained how to create a district and make the buildings that you want show up there, so feel free to check that out if you'd like. I'm using the American eclectic theme, and that's working really well. One more thing to catch you up to speed is North Park is actually this entire area in front of... Ooh, day turns to night. It's this entire area that is going to be in front of the suburban area and separating it. It's going to be a park specifically that separates suburbia from these arterial roads, basically. So if you live in a house here, there's going to be a park, a 20-meter park with schools breaking it up as well. I've got another school over here that's not detailed in yet, but there's an elementary school. Commercial area coming in here. Maybe the high school goes here, maybe the high school goes here. I'd love to have a high school that serves the entire suburban area, probably somewhere within these two triangles. But as I said before, today is the day of collector roads. I'd like to figure out, maybe I didn't say that before. Maybe I'm saying it for the first time. I'd like to take our arterial system in here and start figuring out where the collectors are going to go and how they're going to feed. I made this decision in the last episode of Newmarket, where this is a bit of a collector. It's really just a 3-lane road to get, or an asymmetrical 2x3 to give us these turn lanes so that there's options. If somebody wants to come from suburbia and go straight into this or commercial district rather, with the Wegmans, with the grocery store, and a movie theater as anchors and more things to come here, maybe a higher density development will happen here too, with like tall buildings. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That informed this collector road, and that will also determine this collector road here. So my first move, looking at what we already have, I think it's important to just consider what you've already done, rather than building random off of it. In the US, we do like our grids, and if this area was planned properly, it would have had some fairly straight roads going on. The anatomy of this road, the 3+2, in the last episode we went over this a little bit, but you want to make sure your 3+2 is facing the right, the right way, so that the turn lanes are facing the intersection. So the side with 3 turn lanes, or 3 lanes rather, are facing the intersection, so that you get this good set of options. Left lane goes left, right lane goes right. Center lane continues straight through if it's a 4-way junction. I'm going to ignore that for a little bit. I'm just going to be sketching this out, and then we'll come back and figure out where the turn lanes will occur later. But I really want to figure out how roads lead to this area, and roads leading in and out will all be established today. I imagine that this would have a second option. How far apart is this? 35 units? Why not? Let's see what 35 looks like. It should look very... almost even. 41. That's not terrible. I'm going to do that for now, because that may give us another entrance into this triangle-looking area here. So this area, whatever road comes into here is being informed by this now. So that's probably a way in, this will probably be a way in, and this will probably be a way in. So I don't have a bunch of random 3-way junctions. I think that 3-way junctions are very powerful and they're very safe, but a 4-way junction is great to avoid a scenario where, let's say we had a 3-way junction coming off here, So it's like a T-junction, it would also be known as. Let's say there's a 90-degree angle coming off of there. That means that if somebody wants to come out of this commercial area and come down into here, they have to make an extra turn, and they'll end up gumming up this intersection only to try to make a left here as well. I'd rather have them come directly in. So I'd much rather, as a reminder to myself, establish... How far is this? 6 units? Sure. I'm just going to do the same thing there. That may change, but... Or the road type may change, and certain things about it may change, but... This is definitely going to be the way into this area. As well as over here. I'm just going to add another 6 unit little thing. This might be services, it might be a high school. The high school could... whatever. We'll figure it out later. So continuing this, now that we have these 2 openings, I'm going to use this as a way to go. I'm actually going to eliminate this entire curve, because what I'm about to do is going to sort of negate the angle of that curve, I think. And you'll notice, hierarchically, road hierarchy-wise, we've got highway connected to arterial with an interchange, as you should, a service interchange. Arterials can connect to arterials, and collectors connect to arterials. So these collector roads are the roads that are going to lead to our higher density districts within the downtown area. It'll all come together, I swear. I swear it. We're going to go into the sticks there and see what happens. I'm going to go back to our 6-lane arterial road, because this one actually has a faster speed limit, and if I continue my plan to make 1 extra interchange down here that just zips us up into this part, let's assume there's some, like, industrial down here. Let's imagine. I'm always trying to think ahead. But if there's industrial down here, they could get their own highway exit, and that's great, and then they'll probably use the highway to go to Old Town rather than going this way. There's a chance, at least. There's a chance. Or if they're importing and exporting, they're at least not going to have to go through the entire town to achieve that. That's what we want to avoid, is unnecessary everything. Unnecessary elements in general. Now, what I see here is an opportunity. I see an opportunity. I'm going to go halfway. I'm going to go halfway from here to here. And right now, we've gone beyond what I planned. So we're out of the realm of what I've planned, and we're moving into improvising, which I think is great. 127. Half of 127 is... I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to use the grid, so 61, 66. So we're going to go a little to the left. I'm no math magician, trust me. Those of you who are good at math are yelling at your computer screens. I'll write you a song. I'll gladly write you a song. Write you a poem, build you a city, that kind of thing. But mental math, no, not for me. 63, 64. That is right where I want to be. And I'd like to do the same sort of thing here. And I'm going to curve this entire road. Throw a wrench into the works. 90, well that's easy. So we're looking for 45 on either side, 43, 46, 44. I'm on the right track. 45 units on either side. So this is our starting point and our end point. I love that we've just made the same shape as this larger shape. I think it's beautiful that the macro becomes micro as you go down. So what I really want here is kind of a mini beltway almost. I didn't know I wanted this until just now, but I want it. So we're going to get it. Let's do... If this road's probably like 50 units, 46 units, 38. I'd like to do something almost evenly curved. So how much do I have to subtract from this one? That's 38 units. 46. 38 units. I'd like to start the curve here on this side and end the curve right at the end there. So I'm going to use Network Multi-Tool. So we're going to add in Oh, geez. I've lost it. It's got to be here. It must be. 63, 64. Yep, it's here. So this will be a marker. No, this is going to be the real deal. That grid is going to continue up and end at once again, end at that arterial. And we're going to use Network Multi-Tool to synthesize a curve out of that same type of road. I'm going to have so many junctions to go back and fix when this is all said and done. Turn the roads the right way. Asymmetrical roads are wonderful, but they also require a little tending to. So Network Multi-Tool, I'm using the curve tool to get a curve. So this entire area will be built off of this curve, so it'll have a little interest to it. And that also kind of points towards our downtown area, so it's pointing right to that central locale. That road was just a marker. That was just a bit of scaffolding. Similarly, on this side, I would love for this to go down the middle. This will be kind of a larger grid as we head out towards the airport. I don't know, the industrial, whatever the heck you want. Whatever I want, really. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. 125, the midway point of this. God, I hope I have the foresight to cut these parts out, and if I don't, I apologize. If I don't, just enjoy, you can yell at your screen all you want. The mathematicians in the room. There we are. I do trial by error. Now this one will connect. This one's going to be different, actually. This one's going to not connect in the same fashion at all. I'm still going to use the road guideline from this to see where this ends. I'm not. We're just going to go straight to the bottom here. And that's fine. If vehicles want to use this as a connection, if that avoids them making a left at this light, then I'm okay with that. So 90 degrees down to here, and then we'll connect this. Yeah, I see you. Anarchy. Anarchy! Cool. Anarchy for the win. Now let's connect this, and we'll just let this be a bit angular, a bit funky, because some intersections are funky. What can I say about it? Nothing. Funky intersections happen. The midway point here... Oh, I never reestablished this. These will consolidate and come down and turn to here eventually. That's going to take a little finessing and probably following the river just a little bit, just a touch. Until this area is developed, though, that road's not even going to be necessary, so we'll figure that out later. Ah. No, I'm going to look for the midway point once again. We're going to cut this entire thing in half, and we'll end up with these blocks. Some of them will be more unique than others, but we're looking for kind of a block system here. 160. 80 units! I do know mental math. Wow. So these will continue down. Ooh. Weird. I like it. This is going to be a funny junction to figure out, I think. This is going to be there's going to be a lot of funny transitions that happen here. But we'll figure that out in the future. So let's grab this arterial road again. How far was this connection? 18 units. I'm going to do the same thing again. So just to remember the asymmetrical move that we're pulling off here. Asymmetrical road into regular 3+3 road. And we're going to have this go all the way back to that point. Road guidelines on. Yikes, can't see it. That's okay. We're going to go past that point. And then we'll reconnect it again. And once again, this is backwards. This is not the way that this asymmetrical road is supposed to be formed. But as I do each neighborhood, I'm gonna address it, I suppose, as I build around each intersection. This is a very large area too, so I'm probably gonna have to get into zoning. I'll probably have to make some, just as I'm doing suburbia, kind of a sprawl, there's gonna be some urban downtown sprawl in between the heavy center, which is definitely here, and the lighter suburban fare off to the side. Maybe this one is just a 45-degree angle, which is not the most interesting option, but it'll leave space along the river, and if we decide we want to use that space, we can. 45 degrees. I'm going to go to there, and I'll delete these trees in just a moment. And that's fine for now. This will probably get its own, like, key wall and maybe, like, an upscale kind of thing. Some sort of upscale promenade. Much like we did in the lofts. I would love to do something similar to this, where they have, like, a nice hangout. Imagine, just a nice place to be. Hello, train. Cool. All right, I'm liking the look of this very much so far. So let's consider that. Oh, I wish they were color-coded. Wouldn't that be amazing? The lighter roads are our collector roads. You can see the sidewalk goes a bit further, so the pavement cuts in a bit further. So you can see the lighter highlighted roads are collector roads. The darker roads with the center median, oh, you can barely see it. I wish I could color code these temporarily for you, but unfortunately I cannot. Maybe I can. Here. Just to illustrate our situation here. Use picker on this, and then select it. Oh, that's pretty good, other than the asymmetrical sections. So that is the arterial system. Everything else that you can see in this center area are collectors that we've just established. I think that looks pretty good. I think that's a very plausible US system that we've got. Now let's do some local roads, and let's see how local roads will really connect into this whole situation. So let's start here. This is going to be a block system. It's going to be grids. Urban, downtown. I've got a secret weapon also with the grids. I've got an asymmetrical road. So if things get really bad... If things get really bad traffic-wise, you break out your asymmetrical road. And there it is. Easy. And that'll buy you a turn lane. When I say really bad, I mean if things are getting backed up at intersections or you're approaching a roundabout, as if that's going to happen. But if you're approaching an intersection and you want to add a turn lane to essentially double the power of the intersection, I can do that with a small road also. So let's see. But until then, I'm just going to use this regular big urban roads 2-lane road as I've used throughout sort of the rest of the city. 35. That's 11 units there. 12 units there. I like the way that this is broken up with nodes already. So I'm just going to rock with that for now. So these are where the actual buildings are going to be built. I may have some major landmarks facing the big intersection or some of the big roads, but I would love to avoid building stores just along sides of this road. I'd really like to not do that necessarily. We'll see if I can keep my promise, but I would prefer not to do that at least. And you'll notice these are going to refer back to a collector at all times. Always. 11 units. 11 looks good there. We'll do that for now. Trim the ends. So that's something. That's the beginning of something. I'm going to do that to the other side too. Send these right to the back. Contextually, this one may become more of a collector. I don't know yet. No, I take it back. Let's trust the process. This might be 11 or 12 units. Yep, 11 units there. None of it has to be perfect, but I like it. I like it. Don't fault me for that, please. Cool. That's the beginning of something. Now this section, 11 units back, 12 units. I'm liking 11 units here. There's not going to be a ton of space for intersections to back up here. But there won't need to be. This one is the one that needs a lot of space for intersections to back up. So that's good. We've left plenty of space for them to do that. The anatomy of this type of thing, I digress all the time, but it's because I have something to say. Generally. So the midway point between these two, here's how I do it when there's two intersections. Now that we know where this intersection lives, and I can do that to this side. This one's not going to need it, but this is definitely going to need it eventually. 35 units. Half of that is somewhere in here. 18 plus 17, gorgeous. I'm going to take one side and turn it backwards compared to the other side. And that is how an arterial junction will look primarily in this city. The lane arrows will be adjusted out, and obviously there's some other little things we can do. Intersection marking tool and node controller and such. Just to make it uniform, because this is going to be our big junction of the day. I need a jingle. I need a junction of the day jingle. So that is the junction of the day. This is how we approach it with asymmetrical roads, so that you get this added left turn lane, while still keeping plenty of right turns to go with. But on this side, similarly, same idea. It's easier just to redraw it. If you think you've moved any nodes or done anything weird, it's often easier to delete a section. And this one's going to be about 20 units on one side. 20, 21, beautiful. So we've deleted the road, we rebuilt it. We're going to turn these the right way. That one's already good. This one is already almost good. The grid's not broken, so I'm comfortable with that. Delete this, because that was just a placeholder. This network has automatically added what are called R-cuts. If you're interested in using R-cuts, it takes a bit of work. You just have to go in and well, rein it back in. For this type of thing, you really have to download a network that has this built in, unless you want to be adding this pattern in all day. But what this pattern really does, I touched on it in a previous episode, but specifically here, what this really does is allows the priority road to make a left, and the non-priority road that's crossing it, the arterial, is being crossed by a collector here. It allows them to not make a left. They have to make a right. And you've probably seen this. Sometimes a road will go from a lower density situation up to a higher density situation. And it will, I mean like a neighborhood road, where initially a four-way stop worked. But then one of the roads became priority, so they got rid of the stop signs. And it became a two-way stop. But then you realized people were messing it up and being all crazy and all over the place, and the left turners, like if this road has a lot of traffic on it, it can be very bad to try to make a left turn out of here. So the city planner just says, forget about it. They can find another way around. They can either go to a major intersection that has a light built in. This needs to be fixed, but a major intersection that has a light built in, or they can make the right and then go make a U-turn somewhere else, or whatever. I don't really, You may have seen that happen. In the US, we like R-cuts in certain places. I forget what RCUT stands for, but R-cut is the name of it, is how it's called colloquially, I believe. The way you get rid of it with big urban roads, if you have this built into a network, like I do in big urban roads, I'm going to control-click this with the traffic light, timed traffic light from Traffic Manager, and that actually changes the intersection and puts up these great US-looking lights. So anyway, back to the mission at hand, if I may be so bold. Let's do it. So starting here, 12 units. What I'm looking to do here is mimic this. This whole curve is about to change. I can already feel it. Let's go back on this one until we're sure of what's going on. There's going to be a curve here at some point. But I'd like to establish something else before I make that decision. So maybe 11 units, just so it matches. I was told to make something asymmetrical the other day because it's interesting, and I agree it is interesting, and I would recommend that everybody make asymmetrical things. But that's not what I'm doing right now. I want to go 11 units in and do that. And that'll break the grid, but it's going to look really cool. And at the end of the day, I think that's paramount. Other than functionality, building really cool looking stuff is a perfectly valid reason to have this, to have a desire to play this game. In fact, I think it's a noble reason. If you tell me I bought City Skylines because I want to build really cool looking stuff, I would have to respect that. And probably agree. If anyone knows how to get rid of the construction cost thing, I'd be glad to be rid of it. Awesome, awesome. Looking like a South African flag or something. I didn't plan on this exact pattern, but this is where we're going, so I'm happy to go here. Now, this can go back in. How long is this? 11 units. I'm going to have to see over time how this forms up. That curve is going to be very important, but I might connect a couple roads to it before it curves. It doesn't have to be as wide of a curve as I had initially established. Now, off of this one, I'd like to see this be 11 units in. Somewhere there's got to be a green here too, though. There's got to be like a green near the downtown. There isn't always in US cities, but I would love to have that here if possible. Because we're going to have so much green space over here, let's separate it and make this area into the green space. I suppose. Yeah, let's do it. So the park is what it's going to end up being. 12 units. I think this one was 11 units. And this one was 12 units, and that's why that one has a gap. Let's make this 12 units as well. I take it all back. Forget everything I just said. Let's just go crazy. Let's just go hamburgers on this. We'll match that one. We'll go 12 units this way. And all of this may be deleted in time, but it's going to inform several other decisions I have to make. All right, back to our regular road here. And one more thing. 11 units away. I like that. That could be our park, potentially. This may be where the park ends up. The connections are open to interpretation. Maybe I like this. It's very close to this one. Maybe I like that, though. And maybe this connects on both sides because we're kind of nutty. Kind of nutty like that. Kind of fun at parties. That is good. So now we're going to have this area as our park, and it will be lined with buildings. And it will be beautiful. Excellent. So far, I've followed all the rules that I've established for myself as far as establishing an arterial, and then a collector, and then other things happening. So far, we've been following every single rule. Maybe let's do something similar to this on this side. Since we're going to have an awkward shape, we can repeat that same type of thing. Was this 12 units? Okay, I'm going to follow my lead on this one. But let's repeat the same type of pattern. And then we can at least close this gap, because this road is going to have to connect somewhere. It's going to be necessary. Grab this guy. Beautiful. The curve may begin there. Would there be 2 city parks? No, that's insane. The land is too valuable. The land is entirely too valuable to have 2 giant parks in the middle. So this one will be the park. Maybe this one's like City Hall. Because City Hall doesn't need to be on a grid. I know that there's a town hall. There's an old Newmarket town hall, but this area is a city, so I feel that it needs a city hall. So this is going to become City Hall. Mark my words. But also my right to change my mind if I want to. I get it both ways. It's kind of beautiful. Now this one is 26 units. It's an inaccurate 26. It's not exactly 26 units, but it's close enough. For those of you that don't know, the grid is actually 8 by 8 units. So every one of the, meters. Each unit is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 8 meters. So when I say this is an imperfect 26 units, what I mean is I think that it's an inaccurate. I'm pretty sure that that's not exactly... Well, I could be wrong. 209 divided by 26. If it equals anything other than 8. But I'm just going to use the units. It doesn't matter. I don't really go down to meters unless I care about the grid here. I want to reduce this to 26 as well, and then make an intersection so I can establish the curve. I just want the curve to be even. So 35, 27, one more unit to the right gives us 26. How many is that? That is 9 units. So 9 units away from here is where I want to be. I do all kinds of like really quirky stuff to make my decisions. Your decisions will certainly vary, and that's probably a good thing. If you wonder why you're not doing it exactly like me, like please don't wonder. Please just enjoy the way you do it as much as I enjoy my way. That's all I ask. Cool. So that is our curve and our little city hall area. So let's mark that for now. I got asked how do I make my, what are these called? How do I make my districts so perfectly? And it's actually very simple. It's because they snap to roads. So as long as you have the patience, I'd say skill, but it's not really skill. It's literally just patience. If you don't get too frustrated, you can do it just like this. It's a little finicky, and it's not a perfect system. Nobody knows that better than me. But if you stick to the road, you can establish the outline, and then when you're ready to fill it in, it's pretty simple. Just like that. Or another way to do it, Strawberry District, that's adorable. Another way to do it for this park, I'm actually going to change this to the park life area. You could make a blob in the middle, but don't exceed the edges. And then take the smaller one, the smallest brush, and just sort of go along this. I'm digging it. Magnolia Meadows. That's not what this place is going to be called. Oof. So this is the finicky part. If you mess up, you just gotta erase it and go back and really obsess over it. The game is probably a lot more fun if you don't obsess over things. Please don't mind if I do it. I'm just going to do it my way, and I'd recommend you do it your way as well, but it's probably more fun if you don't. I would agree with that. This may become a roundabout. That's the type of spot where I would use a roundabout. Case in point, getting vehicles in and out of this area is going to be tricky if these are the only 2 entrances. I would love to keep these as the only 2 entrances if at all possible. Or maybe not. Maybe it connects here. Who knows? Does this line up? This has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now, but that would be nuts. It does? What? Okay. Well, that's cool. That's a fun fact. I still don't want to connect this directly to the arterial because that's a massive breakdown in road hierarchy. I really want traffic to hit the collector to get to this area, and they have great highway access, so I don't feel too bad about it because the highway is just over here. But connecting a small road to this, unless it's an R-cut, that would be the one big exception. Just like I've done over here. That's not even an R-cut. That's just a hard median. This traffic cannot turn left into this area. Either an R-cut, like that shape that we had over here, either that, or establishing an impenetrable median like this are ways to connect small roads to big roads without a breakdown in road hierarchy. I've not read that anywhere. That's truly an opinion of mine, is that as long as the traffic is not allowed to turn left onto that road, then you're probably okay. Even if the main road can yield and turn left to oncoming traffic, as long as there's not a complete breakdown in hierarchy, it's probably fine. It's probably fine. This road is looking more and more like an arterial as time wears on, but that has yet to be seen. So for now, I'm going to respect where it's at. Let's do one more. Let's really entrench the town hall in some bureaucracy real quick. How far is this? This is 11 units away. This is 12 units away. This one shall be 12 units away on the collector side. Oh, and that matches... Nope, we're going to match whatever's going on over there, actually. We'll do that. And we will connect it. I've already forgotten. 11 units. That's already 11 units. Perfect. So I'm going to use Network Multi-Tool, the Curve tool, one more time to garner a perfect curve relatively easily. You can also use the Curved Road tool. It's absolutely up to you. So, as I see what's happening here, that's actually not bad. Tall buildings along here, facing different directions, so they're not all facing this way. I think that's kind of a cool idea. I would like tall buildings along the sides of the park too, and you can... Ooh. That may change. All of that is subject to change. But I do think that this is good. I'm going to go complete some more of the grid. I'm going to do... These are the most interesting parts, and this one too. Maybe I'll show you how this one works by the time I'm done with it. But I'm going to do the easy grids. Sit tight. I'm gonna cut away, and I'll be right back. I'd say that makes the hierarchy of the roads really come to life. Before I was trying to highlight the whole thing and show you which one's the arterials. Now there's really no doubt about where the arterials are. You can see that there's hardly any connections on this main road from the highway, this arterial. It intersects with an arterial. This is a collector, so I'm okay with there being these closer little connections. You'll see that's a theme repeated throughout, but then the arterial continues on up north. Cool. In the neighborhoods, the way that you would get to, say, the middle of this neighborhood over here is you would take the arterial, you would either make a left or a right, depending on what's quicker for where you live. If you live over here, maybe you'd take a right, still artery. You would make a left here. This left will be allowed eventually. It's allowed now technically, but the cars just drive over the median and the roads are backwards. So you'd go left here onto this collector road, which is the road that collects vehicles to get back on the arterial. And then you can distribute wherever you want. You can take a right onto this other collector, other somewhat major road, or this one up here. Or maybe if you live right down in this area, maybe you'd prefer to get on this little local road that's connected to the collector. Whatever you want. But you can see that the arterial encircles this system. So this little spot right here, boom, all of this, these are collectors encircled by the arterial, and then the local roads never connect to the artery. They only connect to the collector road. As long as you follow that kind of principle, you'll generally be okay. But I am open to saying that there's probably going to be traffic issues in the future in certain little spots that I can imagine. But that'll really depend on the volume of buildings or how many people live in a given area. But I'm excited to see those problems as they shape up. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for letting me talk more road hierarchy, more building, more macro building, big stuff. This is one of my favorite parts of the game. This plus interchanges, I think, are probably two of my favorite things to explore. If you liked the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I stream on Twitch twice a week as well. Feel free to follow me over on Twitch. And our Discord is always popping. Feel free to join the Discord if you have any questions or if you want to post pictures of your city, things like that. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out. I've been Yumble. I'll see you in the next stream or the next video.